Can you hear me? Are we okay keeping the cooler on? Okay, I'll try to speak loud, and readers, please try to speak at least a little bit loud. This is, as some of you know, the beginning of what will, at the end of this season, the end of this year, be POG's 30th year. So we're treating it as a very special year. Some changes after this year, and we are honoring where we've been and where we're going. And my name is Charles Alexander, by the way. Everyone from POG wants you basically to have a good time here. This is maybe our most fun event of the year. Please raise your hands if you're one of the POG Collective. You see there's a bunch of us, there's 10 total. Not all of us could be here tonight because of bad reactions to COVID and flu shots, as well as other reasons too. I think only 2 of us are doing. And I'll speak a little more after John, as I'm going to be the first reader too, but I have a few more things to say about that 30th year. So, John Melillo, attitude.
I'm John Melillo. I'm also a member of the POG board. Thank you all for being here. It's so exciting to have POG Friends, our annual community gathering, poets and voices in Tucson. It's really, really wonderful to see you all here. Last year we were in a much smaller space. This might be record-setting attendance. We were just looking, and thank you all for participating. This is so awesome. So for the readers who are here, as you may know, we'll call your name in the order that you may have signed up when you came in, and everyone will have, I believe, 3 minutes. Right, Cynthia? 3 minutes? 3.5. Pop song. No, this is pop song poetry. And everyone will have 3.5 minutes, and we'll just kind of move along. We'll take a break in the middle, don't worry. And again, like Charles said, we're here for everyone to have a good time. There's stuff in the back to eat and nibble on and drink. We also just want to celebrate being together, and in the spirit of doing that, also just acknowledge where we are, acknowledge the history of the place in which we are standing, through that long history of folks who have been here, indigenous folks, settler colonial folks, folks moving through, migrant folks, people who live here, people who do or do not accept nation in one way or another, folks who do or do not have the ability to stay in one place or another, nomadic folks, people of all sorts. And so I want us to just think about that history and also celebrate our difference together tonight. Thank you all. Yeah. So we'll start off with Charles Alexander, and he'll have more to say.
I'm going to have to so sorry yet, because I do have some things to say.
I've got the clock.
Okay, Cynthia Miller, can you come up there for a little while? I also want to thank for this year the Arizona Commission on the Arts, Chuck Strath, the Arts Foundation for Tucson and Southern Arizona, and the University of Arizona Poetry Center for our generously supporting us. Cynthia Miller, another one of the POG Collective, and I sat down last night and we made a list of the people who have read for POG over the last 30 years who are no longer walking with us on the planet, and I wanted to just read their names and remember them for a little bit. So,
I just want to say you know, even poets that aren't here anymore. I mean, some of these people, of course, are near and dear, but we're always in conversation with all the poets all the time. They're all here all the time. So if you're reading Homer, you know, you might as well be reading Laura Fisher. You might as well be, you know, Bob Cooley. I mean, you know, it really doesn't. We're all reading all the time. But let's share it. This is good.
Okay, want to do every other one?
I do have a big this.
I have a bigger voice.
I'll go with the one.
Okay. Frank Parker. Bernadette Mayo. Maurice Grossy. Clayton Eshelman. Peter Jarvis. Joanne Kiger. Robin Glazer. David Brumage. David Shapiro. Jerome Rothenberg. Mark Weiss. Keith Wilson. Nanao Sakaki. Leslie Scalpino. Lynn Heginia. Tyrone Williams. Tom Rayburn. Peter Gannon. Nancy Solomon. Kevin Killian. Paul Fisher. Adele Foley. David Meltzer. David Gidden. Cass Fleischer. Alice Notley. Oh, okay, that was about.
Alice never.
Alice has been here several times.
She read for the Poetry Center. She never read for POG. Alice was such a hoot. Alice grew up in Needles, California, and went to Paris. Well, she had a little time at Ohio because of that in New York. But we're doing an event on Alice's birthday, which is November 8th. Here at the Steinfeld.
What if it her 80th birthday?
Yeah, as a memorial reading. If you're a fan of Alice's work and I got a call, please get in touch with us because Alice just, I mean, nobody likes saying Alice, so if you really want to celebrate life, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you going to meet?
No, never.
Oh,
She's had it. But I'm so glad you said what you did because they are here. All the losing. Okay. The first poem I'm going to read is something of an invocation, and I don't really mean to offend anybody, but maybe I do. And I have apologies to Canto 2 of Ezra Pound. Hang it all, Billy Collins. And there can be but one Emily Dickinson, not yours, but our Emily Dickinson. And no, you cannot undress her with your unctuous smirks and manipulative lines of anti-poetry hidden under sterile sleeves, hiding that lithe daughter of ocean. No, no, no. The wave runs in the beach groove, and not to you. So sit down or stand back, go back to the ships and leave the air, leave the lithe sinews of water to the poets who practice poetry with the lowercase p, because they care not for self-aggrandizement, rather want the lines, the syllables, the soundings that connect to other poets, to artists, to music, to rocks and trees and rivers and seas, because none of us are here to pull down letters and show off ourselves. No, we celebrate in the sea foam, the bright welter of wave chords, of blue chords and dissonant wave archives, as we sing with POG that's friends in the half-light. And can we one other poem in then it's on POG may be celebrating by 2026 its 30th year, but a lot of people celebrating a lot more. It is the 100th year centenary of Miles Davis, which a friend of mine, Ethelbert Miller, who's a poet, wonderful poet in Washington, D.C., has been writing poems, to write a dozen poems, one for each month of Miles' centenary. It is also the centenary of Robert Creeley, who is an inspiration for many of us in this room. And it's also the centenary of the musician John Coltrane, who can't say enough about him. But so this poem began as a response to Ethelbert's Miles poems, and it's called Pink, Miles, Bird, Yamilo. Young, I listened to the great Pink play a slow flow of notes spreading. But Miles played the world, inside and out, above and below, in a sort of silent way, and we found ourselves in that sounding. Bird played all the notes at anxious hurry, never to stop, but Miles said, "Wait! The sky is black this morning. In the black eastern sky, the moon an upturned crescent. Venus sits just above the southern tip. 2. Whenceforth, Demila. Anyway, on a Friday afternoon, sun and a room, no bleeding gods or women on half shells, no wonder the rain comes so seldom, water being to music as grass to bare feet, or those sketches of the Spanish plain to 3 young horn players in a Northern California memory. Oh, Bach, where have you placed the notes to live by? Where is your Stradivarian silver madness, the lip notes, the lip to live by, the lip gone by? Just a fanfare on the tip of a poem, a blast to call the players, call the words, call the lovers of worlds together. Trip, as a father might say, the light fandango, the Spanish step, flamencos its way into your nerves and blood that pumps until it stops, but it doesn't stop. Wait, the sky is black this morning. I sit under that crescent, under the sound of a hawk, under the wing. Sing, wing, ring a bell for the morning, ring a bell for the day. And then a train came by, and Rashid rang the bells of space, time blown into the stars where light came on a new ship, the sun ship, with no mast, no sextant, no plumbing of the depths, only the depths. We entered along with a certain chord, an uncertain chord, a step, 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 and turn. In a step, things come and go. In steps, things begin and go and come again. And in a step or 2 or 3, I dance around the tree. The Aleppo pine soars and surrounds and is silent, is in a silent sort of way. And John the train, and Bob the figure of outward, and Miles, all born in the same year, a year of mornings in black, a year of wait. The hawk sits below the crescent moon. Stay silent. Do not move. Not yet. Not daring to disturb this frail turn, this inverse slide to dawn. Dawn slides up, and a bird cries down. Thank you. Okay, the second reader is David Weiss.
Hey, Charles. So I'm really working on so it's really about paying attention to one's client in different private demands. So here we go. It's a leafy clusters by red bell. One stepped under the bite of flinch. Discreet ray intrudes the trail. Bleached arc and crosshatch wire. Heart cushioned as reciprocal pebble cells. Trioptic and yellow furl, a wandering sigh, wagged and slid and rude. Spray to pools, infold gathering what's finer into damp bodies. Lay and fall and fiery jab. Memory's abstract, but humble. Titrating joke, elastic of course. If only they could still be children. Beans and minty rose swallowed at kneeling and belt beside hammer tell. This is, and stamped edge at any independence, leaves steeped in sound and live sung, and those love and beautifully inept dances, phosphorus harps of evening web, and quivers alongside the fledgling caravan, tossing in the open air. Nitro boom cries hey, steady and a spinning. Airy blast toppled, a jiggle from high clouds, recollection of thought rolling in and then burning out at an unalone heart. Innate gold, small birds sheen, my palms cradling nothing. Conversations of departing summer and a devotion to leaves. Faces holding many roots, doing most anything. Carnations tumbling with the tide, gradually going to pieces. The straw aside, pale dot beside tilted share. Poster sliding down. The small bird pulses uneven. Empty.
Yes, dear, stop mentality. You want me to need more quiet at the time the plural? Okay. 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 That's the mic. Yes, why is it? I take time.
Yeah, but
You can turn it up.
which one I do all these things with. I do.
It's a very
Keep you. Sorry.
fun. Is that you can hear me? One of my today. You want to better? No. Okay. Well, it's been a hard 9 months, I suppose.
Yes.
And I was looking for a poem for tonight, and I came across one that I wrote when I lived in upstate New York. So I'm going to read 2 poems. They have a lot of snow in them. You'll know it's not Tucson. But the poem I was going to start with is called Death Dance. And I thought, I don't need to go back to those years because we have our own examples. I could rewrite the poem today with children from Gaza. I don't need other children. But I just wanted to read a few lines from the Death Dance poem, and then I'm going to read you another one. To act or not to act, it ended the same, and she did not know what to do. She had no heart for the Totentons, did not understand how in the plague years a few survivors joined hands and danced among the graves and back to the village. She saw only the wolves salivating on the hard-packed snow. So then I wanted to write a poem about life, not death. And I asked an old German neighbor, Helga, is there such a thing as a Lebenstanz, a life dance? And her response was, no, that is the work we do every day. In a blizzard, she climbed the hill, wind sucking at her breath and the snow icing against her eyes as she bent her head to walk forward on instinct when she could not see the ground. In the wind and in the trees, she could hear children's voices playing, and she knew them as the hill knew the children,
who had played here summers for 100 years, and she heard their voices laughing in the sharp teeth of the wind. The wind left no footprints, but twisted the snow in wraiths of movement, each dancing on the nothing below. And the trees bent, their voices shut with pain, and louder than it all, she heard her own heart beating. To act or not to act. She climbed to find the answer, and in the climbing knew the answer was to act as though there were no choice. For if she believed in the circle, that as the fossil sinks, then it will rise again to the surface, so all energy comes around, and she must act as though each day knew the circle, knew the answer in the wind's sharp voice. Some days she could only half believe. Some days she would know it held no truth. But on the best days, she worked as though the question mattered not at all.
Yeah.
I don't consider myself an experimental poet, but for this poem, I wondered how many times I could use the F word and not destroy the poem. So, guys, you'll know who it's addressed to. F-bomb alert. Every fucking morning, I see its fucking picture and the fucking paper.
Bye-bye.
My mother told me overusing the F word weakens its impact. So why does telling a lie over and over enhance its power? Raising my fork, I look through the Times at him, visualizing him behind. I'm sorry. Raising my fork, I look through the Times at his face, visualizing him behind bars and his future fucking. Tabula rasa. Nowadays, nobody's impressed when I tell them I met Betty Friedan. Remember her, author of The Feminine Mystique? She was falling down drunk, foaming at the mouth, apparently performing her parody of toxic masculinity. We're celebrating my granddaughter's 3rd birthday, watching her tear open a gift from one of her Cuban-American grand aunts, a Disney princess kit, clip-on plastic earrings, a plastic tiara, clip-on plastic tiara, and best of all, a pair of pink plastic kitten heels, into which she immediately crams her unblemished, shapely little feet. As she clatters across the hardwood floors, I can't help thanking Betty and the feminists she inspired. Without their outrage, the baby might have unwrapped a foot binding kit for preschoolers.
Please welcome Cynthia Hogue. Yes, this is get an Andrew to Sally.
I don't know how you do this, Charles, but I come after the funniest poets. This has happened to me 3 times.
You saying one?
No. No, unfortunately, I know how to sign up better. But thank you, Jefferson. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you, Howard. I would say I'm the comic relief. I will discover that I'm not. I wanted to just read a couplet from Pierre Jardy as an homage, but also as an acknowledgement of the time we're living in. Probity. Lament its absence among those who govern.
I learned the word probity from Merriam-Webster. When I first read it, I had to look it up. Honesty, right? But probity has more gravitas. And the pacifist, with Instead It Is Dark, I had the opportunity to interview very informally many of my extended family and friends who had been born into occupied Germany. So were in danger of being occupied by fascists. This is called the pacifist. War was wasteland, was a way of putting it. Loud boom, but a boom of the bombs. Sometimes distant, sometimes close. Each moment a splinter, a spark of earth. Each person a singular globe until out. No pigs left, we did not eat pork. No cows, we did not drink milk. No chickens, we did not boil eggs. What did we eat? I do not remember eating or not eating. I remember washing maybe once a month, maybe once a year. I wasn't happy or sad, neither clean nor unclean. Mother washing sheets in the stream out back. Mother selling the rabbit, weren't there more we could eat? Rabbit steer. War's a way of living, not living. Question, it doesn't matter, it's just war. Always called me just war. I saw through words used to justify war as if glass sharpening sunlight into fire. I was forever at fire. Thank you.
Yeah.
Typically, not at least the child goes to walk, but just going to say in response, this would like simply sort of sitting into the mission room, we probably have friends or family, Washington, D.C., which is an occupied territory like that, where people are being arrested, now being asked for names, we're asking some of their IDs, developing more than 4 weeks without any access to their families or need help. Okay, the next reader is Kara Brennan. Oops. I'm still.
So I'm reading some prose.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Requiem. I woke up one morning and my country was gone. It was strange. It had been there the night before, sparking and hissing, but now it was gone. I can feel its absence in the air, which is a feeling like no other. The garden was still there. The bougainvillea was in some sort of bloom, red blossoms half opened on thorny stalks. And the house still surrounded me, for the moment at least. Perhaps it took longer for smaller things to follow suit. All I know is what I'm telling you. I found my slippers. A little hole in the toe had not grown larger overnight, thank God, and everything was still in the fridge. It's not as if some thief came and stole food. No, it was only the country. The big picture. I wasn't sure where I was. The sky didn't let on. It was as if the sky knew but wasn't saying anything. I kept looking up. There were no clouds, I can tell you that. I wished there were clouds, truly. They would have given me hope. As it was, I felt hopeless. I wandered around my home, checking to see. Already I was feeling nostalgic. Yet here was everything in place. The half-full coffee maker, the slippers, etc. It was then that I remembered the mouse. Where had the mouse gone? I put out a trap, and the trap was still armed with a piece of cheddar cheese. No one had nibbled it. I was anxious about the mouse. I didn't want any more disappearances. Mouse, mouse, I called, hopefully, ridiculously. When your country disappears just like that while you're sleeping and thinking that everything's just fine, it's hard to believe that, yes, the country has vanished and we don't even know why. Now everything had settled, but newly settled to the point of unfamiliarity, as when you watch a horror movie and a thing is almost like the thing you expect to see but not quite, which is the most horrifying of all, since it tricks us. Possibly the country had been vanishing for a long time in increments, and we hadn't noticed little portions of it flaking off. In the past, we had possibly been preoccupied. Had we been looking at our screens instead of the earth under our feet? Well, the earth was still there, but was it the same earth? Would we recognize the old earth? Had we examined it carefully enough in the past? If it was a new earth, was this new earth an imaginary earth? Had we been swallowed up by our computers in some game involving avatars that looked just like us and an earth that just looked like our old earth but was subtly altered? Oh, where was the mouse? Everything felt different as it does when one loses some big thing. There was a hall where the thing used to be. I had that feeling when I lost a sapphire ring in a taxi when I was 16. And I had that feeling when my grandmother died. Things disappear all the time and leave holes. That much we know about life. But an entire country, this we were not prepared for. In the past, nothing had been extraordinary, we know, but that was its beauty. In its ordinariness, we flourished. We went to the grocery store, chatted with our neighbors, drove our car under bridges and along rivers, and admired all the ordinary views from every window. Sure, we had traveled beyond, but we always returned to the calmness we associate with home, and its beige, unextraordinary calmness with our TVs and the moldering vegetables in our refrigerator bins. Was that the problem? Had we neglected things? Had we been inattentive? And this is the big question, and I ask it with a heart full of sorrow. Will we get used to it? Will this new country become familiar? And will we forget the old one? Will we still drive to the grocery store and chat with neighbors, only there will be some shifts that will have changed everything? The shifts barely perceptible to the naked eye. That's what I've come to believe. Even the naked eye will be blind to the shifts, and the disappearance of the mouse will be the first indication. Mouse, mouse, I call out, because I'm still remembering, I'm still nostalgic. I am trying to plan the time when we tell our children how it used to be, this ordinary country with its banks and bony hooves, and public schools with its sewing bees and knitting circles and creative writing workshops and graffiti and marigolds. But just as the story of my old country with its rivers and hisses and sparks appears, it evaporates. I'm trying to see it, but it cannot be clearly seen. It is like the recollection of the mouse, which now that I think of it, was never quite visible, never more than my imagination of it. A creature scurrying along the wall bar, or shitting on the countertops, a tree's shadow falling through the window, or a presentiment of gloom issued from my own sick, nostalgic, crazed, idealistic mind, or a ghost. Thank you.
I realized looking like this, that people writing and reading right and we didn't sign up at the beginning, so they're let's figure this out, but we'll just keep going for now. What's in the right now is an Eva Sierra.
Hi. Hi. I was sitting so far away, so I feel like everyone's like, are they here? But I am here. The first poem has a little bit of Spanish, so if you don't speak Spanish, I'm terribly sorry. It's called La Primera Cosecha, or The First Harvest. Mi padre siembra tomates, y de la primera cosecha he picks a fresh tomato brioso, redondo, a red color that says eat. The first bite is warm, savory, and tangy, tender outside, but juicy enough to have either side of my mouth drenched in tomato guts. Grown by my father's hands in the same soil where I played with no shoes on. Ahí aprendí que la tierra nos alimenta, y sin ella esta boca no come de nada. And then this one is about the cactus wren, and if you've ever been to Cochise County, you know that there's a lot of cactus wren, but no cactus. So this poem's about that. I speak to the birds sometimes. The cactus wren, they know everything that happens in Douglas, Arizona. I often hear them sing the names of those no longer with us. It cheers me up. Irony. I think I learned it from them. There are hardly any cacti in the high desert, yet they seem so happy here. I asked them if they knew about God and whether he took the time to walk all of his children home. They said, God has forsaken these lands. It was never meant for our dwelling. God is only here sometimes. He takes his time in between trips. I told them we still have each other, and they told me exactly. We've learned that God can also be dug up from the ground. You taught us that God can be invented from mourning. God can be invented from temporary joy, from true love, from just enough, from not enough sometimes. We've seen from here a path to heaven that is lit by veladoras, lined with coronas of fresh flowers, flowing with rivers of poured out 40s. It is unlike anything else. The people here always make it to heaven. That's why we stay here, so we can also go to heaven. Thank you.
That's shit.
Hi. Before I read it, I'd say something about I was having a fight with somebody last night. It was a disagreement. It wasn't helpful. I was having a discussion with someone last night, and what I came down to for me is I posited that every collective, every small press, every reading series, every space is built specifically on the fact that one is dissatisfied with all the other things. So I think about POG because when POG started his sort of writing that I'm interested in, and I think a lot of you are interested in, didn't really have a big space here in Tucson. But Charles and Cynthia and POG in general, it made 1,000 flowers bloom. So, if you hate this shit, build something you don't hate. But we all have POG to thank for making poetry astonishing in Tucson. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to say some more things about not my poetry, because I'm not going to read my poetry, because writing is harder. And And sometimes writing is hard in such a way that you just stop writing, and you're still in love with writing. You still love all the things about language. Anyways, I don't need to know about that. But specifically, what I'm trying to do to sort of come around and reconnect is read the poets who sort of set me on this path. Because I don't understand what set me on this path. I had a degree in social work. I went to grad school. I hadn't read anybody. So I still haven't read anyone, which it's great, but also kind of sucks. So I'm going back to who I loved in the beginning to see if I can find the hook again. Get it stuck in my mouth. So this is a book called Seven by Robert Palmer. It came out in 1988. And the first time I read it, I was just astonished, and then I was even more astonished, and then it's something I come back to every time I'm trying to learn how to write again, because writing is hard. Being a writer for a long time, I'm 61, being a writer for a long time is hard, because you don't want to become a bad substitute for yourself. So I'm going to read 2 poems from this. I'm going to read the first poem in the book and the last poem. And I beg if I go over 3 and a half minutes, I won't be much over it. The first one is called Fifth Prose. Because I'm writing about the snow, not the sentence. Because there is a card, a visitor's card, and on that card are words cards are arranged in a row. And on these words we have written house. We have written leave this house. We have written be this house, the spiral of a house that channels through the house. We have written the provinces and the reversal and something called the human poems, although we live in a valley of wonderful goddesses. Still, for many days the rain will continue to fall. A voice will say, Father, I am burning. Father, I remove a stone from a wall and raise a picture from that wall, a picture of ships, cloud ships, trudging towards the sea. We're only taken then by little part. Because we are not alive, not alone, but ordinary abstracts from the tablet. The zombie Arab and his wife who did the faulting and balancing. Coleman and orgies and adult celebrates to know with spectators one night. Losing keys and Fred Bubble as it trapeze into the sawdust and wasn't hurt at all. And Jacob the rope dancer was Sammy and Sansol. Because there is a literal shore, a letter that's blood red, because in his dialogue, the eyes are crossed for chords, seem a swimmer and sail around, statue, then shadow. And here in the lake, first a razor, then a fact. And the last one is the title of the book, which really did something for me when I read it, and still does, but maybe it'll do something for you. Write this. We have burned all their villages. Write this. We have burned all the villages and people in them. Write this. We have adopted their customs and manner of dress. Write this. A ward may be shaped like a bed, a basket of tears, or an X. In the notebook it says, it is the time of mutation, laughter, jokes, secrets beyond the boundary of speech. I now turn to my use of suffixes and punctuation, closing with your circle in the same as term, carrying the campus of the world, joined to her, experiencing the same thoughts as the same moment, inscribing them in a low party. Write this. We have begun to have bodies, and now here, now gone, a past long ago and still one to come. Let go of me, because I have died not in a novel, and I'm a lyric poet, certainly who attracted crowds to mountaintops. For a nickel, I will appear for this box. For $1, I will have text with you and answer 3 questions. First question, we entered the forest, followed winding paths, and emerged blind. Second question, the townhouse of the driven still lies by Darmstadt. Third question, he knows he will wake from the stream to conduct it in his feathered tongue. Third question, he knows his breathing organs are manipulated by sound, so that he is compelled to scream. Third question. I will converse with no one on days of the week which end in Y. Write this. There is pleasure and pain, and there are marks and signs. A word may be shaped like a fig or a pin or an effigy or an egg, but there's only time for fasting and desire. There's vice and design. There's only time to swerve without wings, organ into a face or scientific silence, pinhole of light. Say this. I was born on an island among the dead. I learned language on this island but did not speak on this island. I'm writing to you from this island. I'm writing to the dancers from this island. The writers do not dance on this island. Say this. There is a sentence in my mouth. There is a chariot in my mouth. There is a ladder. There is a lamp whose light fills empty space and space to swallows light. A word is beside itself. Here is the poem called What Speaking Means to Say, although I have no memory of my name. Here is the poem called Theory of the Real. Its name is Let's Call This, and its name is a wooden stick. It goes get this, no, it goes with one and one. I've been writing a book, not in my native language, about violence and smoke, lies and doubts. Free to speak and become the things we speak. Pages which sit up, look around, and row resolutely towards the setting sun. Pages which accept no ink. Pages we've never seen. First called Narrow Street, then half a fragment, plain of George or plain of Greens, taking each syllable in her mouth, shifting position and passing him. Let me say this. It belongs a blur. It is Tuesday in the hardwood forest. I'm a visitor here in the notebook. The notebook lists my new words, black above white. It claims to have no inside. All the characters like A against herself, B, C, L, and N, Sam, Hans Magnus, T. Spear, all speaking in the dark with their hands. G for Gramsci or Gobel's, Blue Hills, cities within hills, modern at the edge of time. F for alphabet, Z for A, and H in an arbor, shadow, silent refuge, W or N among stars. At last, that one, Hezron, X perhaps for X. The villages are known as these letters, human, sunless, writing occurs on their wall.
The second promise didn't they take that?
And we don't want to ask permission so what about things beginning, you can still need this decide what they want to do. Yeah, you put the boy on both things. You know, I mean, I think the boy might think start a reading, start a press, start a chin. There's lots of reasons. There's a lot of us who know that this particular organization, they're doing that for 40 years and what? Can't do it that much longer. You go down and think, like, okay, the next leader tonight is Farid Matuk.
Thank you, POG. When I first realized I was becoming a middle-aged cis man, COVID was happening, and the university president was doing these briefings with his chief of operations, who was an ex-cop, and it was just such a drag. A couple of notes. Reno Gold is a OnlyFans content creator. He also makes content on YouTube, and he made a video about getting scrotal Botox. So that comes up in the poem. And dun, the word dun is D-U-N, as in the color grayish brown. The great commitment after Reno Gold. Gifts for the nerves. The pads of the feet wake to dirt. A kiss traps to mouths. A kiss turns the words inside in. My friend says a femme's sexuality is not a death drive. Neither is a mask's. But oh, how men hail the mastery of a man's at every chance among men. And after they lead and praise one another, having committed urges concentrically to commanding households made in the image of the nation that surrounds them, the men are done. They are thick. They are as the dead and welcomed back, to the point where Botox enters muscles that would have lifted a scrotal sac, thrifting Cole's reaction, so that the video sex worker and time, evening, more likely a furtive morning, slacking in Trinity, with each next view to the next same shape. And this new thing has the word bolt in it. It's bolt of fabric, not bolt of lightning. Bunyan turned habit step as men step vainly into men. We'll take turns. I'll be your wife. I'll fill with your fingertips, resting in the tone echo that stays. Is it delusion seeping up through an actual life? A gaudy show? Cast ahead the bolt of words long before we hope to arrive and thunder. Weren't our bodies draped in it? Frenzied, real. The rind of your heel tucked into my eye. I want its share of patio cement, patio dust. The underworld you think happens far from you. Wait there to be lit in the moon's fulfilling glow. The company's orphaned satellite. Each in their tolerances and tune calculations, material properties from which we say we'll make a better world. Like canned food preserves a dog's future vomit. It's okay. We came hungry. We came to love a penitent love. We came to deny it. Self-same master, self-same light.
I mean, it's also a form of living that sounds like it's good. And next year's current member, Lisa Periale Matuk.
Adjustments. So I tried my hand recently at a retelling of a Greek myth. This is Orpheus and Eurydice set in the Southwest. And I didn't know that Eurydice was a nymph. And nymphs in Greek mythology were minor female deities, typically associated with nature. And she was a dryad, a tree nymph. So we learn things all the time. The title is First Novel in 3 Oak Branches. Oh no. She was born under a waning crescent moon in the wilds of the Arizona Territory. In a wandering borderland, her father, Apollo, was a buffalo soldier, a born-in-the-saddle cowboy. He caught her when she dropped out of her mama, who clung fiercely to the trunk of an emery oak. Half spirit, half girl, Eurydice grew strong and sinewy on peyotes from that tree. She never knew her mother, whose blood seeped right into the roots and heart of Eurydice's tree, where she hid from danger and honed her earth medicine. Even made that oak a library tree once she got some learning, and broke horses for books, never gave any boy a second look, well, until or fail. Those He was a guitarista from Jalisco, following the Silver Trail north. A poet full of song and rhythms pounding in his feet, his heart, his guitarra de golpe. Bloodstream beats raced when he spied the dryad, the Spiritu de Arbol. Lost in a bookbiker tree, one of her horses grazing by Eurydice's feet. The way she nearly flew up on her mare's back was the shimmering stuff of dreams. She never lost her place in the story she clung to. And from that day, that charmed hour, never lost her place in his heart. Face. Now Orpheus sang songs of Eurydice, songs of riding the wide open hills of Sonora among pronghorn and deer. She ventured further and farther from her mother tree, fueled by her roots. A burst from the archer's bow brought them into river valleys, rich with horses and the agave culture that ran through the blood they shared. After 100 nights, pierced by 1,000 stars, singing rancheros and strumming the son jalisciense, enjoying her harmonies, those dancing feet, her warmth, wherever the night found them. How could his joy, their joy, be stolen by a Mojave rattler, a snake that served him a death sentence? And when he could not bargain with the saints, or the Virgin, or the bottle, he rode, and the road brought him back to the emery oak where her spirit lived. There, bit by bit, the sweet taste of her acorns, her bellotas, brought Orfeo back to himself. And the first glimpse of Eurydice at the roots of her mother oak. Then he could play his guitar, hear her voice woven into the songs he grew up with, like her grave flowing down, full of flowers and bits of grass.
Before I introduce the next reader, I just want to give one more big thank you, and that is to this place, the Steinfeld Warehouse, and our contact here through the Warehouse Arts Management Organization, the Sean Wilcox. But POG goes back before there existed a Warehouse Arts Management Organization. This place in 1986 had half dozen or so artists in here, including 2 of the founding members of the POG Collective. So our heart and soul is kind of in this building. And we've had at least 1, sometimes 2, sometimes the whole season of readings in here ever since those founding days. Well, the POG's not founded until 1996, but that was when those 2 artists came back to this building after being out of town for 3 years, and that's when POG started. In fact, that's why POG started. And I just want to thank people who helped make that happen. Sure. Barbara Barguidis, to John McCarts, to Cynthia Miller, to many more. Thank you, Steinfeld. And the next reader is John Melillo.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to use some of my 3.5 minutes just to say there's lots of stuff coming up from POG, from other groups in town, and I'm certainly missing things happening, but I just wanted to let everyone know that, like, simultaneously with this event happening, the artist and poet Logan Phillips is having a closing night of his exhibition. It's called Cumbias on Convent. That's happening till 10 o'clock over on 382 South Convent, which is like just over there. So that's an event happening after this. Speaking of spaces, I also help run a space. I'm not only a member of POG called Wave Archive, and thanks for the shout out. Wave Archive brings together poetry, experimental music, performance art, some video, all sorts of stuff happens in there. And the next event that's happening, you might have seen a few handbills when you came in. Kelsi Vanada is having a book celebration there, along with Emma Wood and Kelly Crumry, and that's happening on September 26th, so that's next Friday happening. And then on October 3rd, the absolutely amazing vocalist, sound poet, Charmaine Lee will be coming through town as part of her 50-state tour, a 2.5-month tour, going to every single state of the U.S. She just came back from Alaska. Logan Phillips will be reading there, performing there, as well as the local artist Alluvium. So that's October 3rd, so next Friday down the line. POG will be having an event on October 17th with Stephen Ratcliffe and Will Alexander, so look out for that. So all sorts of great stuff. October 8th, Movable Beasts, which is David and Maryrose help run that. That also is happening at Wave Archive the second Wednesday of October, and they're the second Wednesday of every month. And then for the first time, Tucson Essay Club, which is a new group started by Andrew Munson, will be starting, and we'll be having a reading on October 7th. Okay, so many things to list off, but take some flyers back there. What's that? And then the exhibit, which has a title, Border Signals, will be opening on Thursday, October 2nd. That's something happening with our own Johanna Skibsrud and Robert Henderson and David Taylor. And so that's an opening night for that, which will be a 2-week exhibit at Wave Archive. I've gone over my 3.5 minutes now. That's the poem. No. I will read something. All of these words are not mine, but whose words are theirs. So here's some John Melillo natural language processing. Don't throw away a home. A home is convenient. Truth refreshing, isn't that wonderful? Set myself in the afterlife. Why not lie from the beginning? Ephemeral and shallow eros. I was afraid of home, fingers digging into belly button. Theater of refuse to the point that I needed. For me, going to the junkyard was much better. It was deeply weird. Dépaysement, 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 debasement, debasement, debasement. I want to grow up to be a debaser. Out of the country, there are erotic sofas. It's nothing other than editing. The nothing voice. People don't become complete like that. I saw you in mind and in flame. We see tents all the way to the shoreline, so people are living just a few feet away from the waves. 161, 322 cash plus Venmo, 176 plus Venmo plus Zelle. A note, a gun, a horse, a grave. The bridge, a gun, the horse, the grave. Sent from my iPhone. Simple relics of an unburied pain, empty, meaningless corporealities, strange deposits plunged into cruel stupor. Thank you.
You know it sounds a member of this column group, Flag?
Thanks, POG. It's so much work to make these events happen. They apply for grants. They keep a budget. They send emails. It's horrible. Horrible things that you have to do so that we can stand up here and read our poems. So thank you. Yeah. My name's Cameron, and my first collection of poems is coming out next year. Yeah, so I'm gonna read you a poem from that collection. It's part of a series. They're all titled Apology with a little subtitle. This one's called Apology Ekphrastic. I'm gonna read fast because I'm 3.5 minutes. All right. Apology Ekphrastic. Of truth we know nothing, for truth is in a well. Painter, sculptor, professor, and aficionado of the personified nude, Jean-Léon Gérôme painted truth and her well at least 4 times. In the best known of his paintings, naked truth has her right leg draped over the well's rim, while the left, we suppose, is still dangling in darkness. Her face is contorted in an expression of accusation or disgust, and she holds a whip at the ready. Truth looks like she means business. Jerome had a mustache. She was very skinny. Most men had mustaches, maybe in Jerome's time. He often posed in photos besides his models. His models are usually nude, while Jerome wears a vest and a coat. In one photo, a nude model sits among 23 young men. Some of them are jeering, some of them are serious. All of them are dressed in fine suits. Jerome holds his hand above the model's head as though she were a marionette. I wonder how you can paint a naked person without getting naked. In Jerome's paintings, truth is not always emerging from the well. For instance, there is a version where truth is stuck at the bottom of the well, sitting on a boulder. There's another version where she stands in knee-deep water, with just a little light reflecting off the ripples, her skin, and the mirror she holds up like a torch. She looks bored, unimpressed. In this instance, it's evident that the painter has been defeated by his painting. He will try again. It will be better next time. More realistic. Jerome lived through the invention of the photograph. This must have made him uncomfortable. It did. With wax, he started to subtly tint the skin, the hair, the lips, and nipples of his marble sculptures. Every work of art wants to be seen a little more than its artist. Every artist wants to be seen, but only in degrees. His viewers hated this tinting, called it deceptive. We pity the men of Jerome's time in a way that is very nearly the way that we pity the men of our time. Too much. Pity should be earned through misfortune, not self-inflicted. But man, we clutch desperately at myth, while myth tries desperately to let go. In the most violent, cynical version of the painting, truth lies dead, collapsed at the bottom of the well, which is nearly dried up, as though she had been pushed, or perhaps, too convenient, as though she had cast herself in from above. Immediately suspicious, we look for clues, begin to cast aspersions, and then later, at home, in bed, or in the shower, it dawns on us that we are ourselves the prime suspects. In almost all of the paintings, truth is completely nude, which is feasible since well water is remarkably warm. But this nudity conveys a dead metaphor, for the human body of our time, stripped bare, is as much a source of artifice as anything we could cover it with. In the paintings, truth is always a she. Like all men, Jerome did not hesitate to undress and display his version of reality. Of course, truth is a white lady, and while Jerome would probably not have been aware of it, truth's whiteness is meant to heighten the tragedy of her condition. One wonders if Jerome was ever anxious about inventing a new truth with each attempt. Did he fear that eventually there might be so many truths that they would compete for space in one another's wells, that they might begin clamoring over each other, fighting, clawing their ways to the surface, or that they might work together to ascend, stepping on one another's heads, using their sisters' limbs like rungs on a ladder? I call this hypothetical painting Truth and her identical twin sisters cannot be contained in the well. I think the lie, if we give it a proper name and assume it has a physical presence like truth, is depicted in every painting as the well itself. The lie is both container and commencement, a gathering place, a source of nourishment, and it is just capacious enough to hold that which we would prefer hidden, which is, incidentally, often the same as what we wish to possess, tossing petty coins and other semi-precious reparations into its hold for safekeeping. The lie is also where truth lives, though not by choice. They say every artist paints themselves into the picture. If this is so, I think Jerome paints himself as the well. Then there's the matter of the names. We have truth coming out of her well, the simple present progressive that places truth in an active role. She is ready to get to work, to get what's hers, to reprimand the world. And we feel a certain righteous sympathy with the truth of this title, even though we know she's aiming the whip in our direction. There is also truth at the bottom of the well, as if she were waiting comfortably, unhurried, certain that her condition is temporary. And from other painters who have made their own attempts, we have the nurturer of truth lies in a well, having been killed by liars and actors, which is both the most maternal and the most violent. Nor is she submerged, possessing an antagonistic, unwarranted optimism. Of truth we know nothing, for truth is at the bottom of a well, the droll philosophical take. And my favorite, truth coming from the well, armed with her whip to chastise mankind, which makes it sound as though we're bumped into truth on her daily commute, and that the barbs of her whip might not be so bad. Little more than a slap on the wrist, a quick sting to the center of our precious self-deceptions, rather than a total obliteration. Jerome's painting suggests man's wishful thinking. Truth is merciful. Truth has not come to punish severely, to judge permanently, or, we sigh in relief, to sentence publicly. But it is easy to criticize a painting, especially if you've never held a brush. Even easier if you have no experience of the subject. How would I paint truth coming out from a well? It would take a canvas the size of a small city. First, I would lay down a layer of mud like gesso. Next, I would make a perfect grid, each square a few feet wide. In each square, I would plant someone I've known. My adopted Chinese grandmother, my wealthy best friend, a coworker I haven't seen since he broke his collarbone and moved to California. In one row, my frightening dentist, a brilliant classmate, an ex who speaks Spanish, a poet I follow on Instagram, the CEO of the domestic violence shelter, my wife, an estranged uncle, my 12th grade English teacher who guided us through the inferno. Anyone I could find, and I would say, "This is your well," and I would instruct them to clean their wells using only hands, feet, hair, spit. I would undress and walk among these familiar faces, thanking them, begging for forgiveness, demanding compensation, and eventually encouraging everyone to go away and collect their own mud, to tend their own campuses. It would take months, maybe years. My painting would eventually be forgotten, though I would continue living in it. You know what the title would be. Thanks.
The last thing I got 12 of you. Don't feel like you have to read that fast. But third it takes you onto the time. Sit back about. I think the next one up.
All right, let's get this cipher adjusted here. Hi, it's nice to be here tonight at POG doing some poetry. I've worked on a collection of poetry of the tarot cards. There's been a lot of king energy lately, so I wanted to bring out the Empress tonight. The Empress. The door is feminine, the toughest portal to let me go. I want this to be open. It's wisdom, you say, to love enemies taken advantage of, but purity belongs to the animals, to their beauty, of their substance. I owe nothing to vanity. Is an ingrained feathered pattern of birds dance, the air that invented the wing. My face is an animal's, unbroken with the forest. The eyes placed above the teeth. A baby haunts every woman I know. One woman I loved every night. We talked to the planet for the award for Best Actress. Mother of Pisces, mother of needs. I need you to move out. There is no place where you can tell me I don't exist. The degrees other women had achieved stopped me until I bestowed myself hibiscus. My gratitude for her clothes I only visited, but I visited the palace twice. I was invited, but there were no businessmen, only friends who would ruin me. Later I want no purpose, no reward, or benefits for retirement. How long the younger, only men land on the moon. No surface, there is no evidence, no sacrifice for me, no dust to existence to land to, no return home to cradle me. I am real, I am a phone. Or he is a portal beside me. The assignment, the wind, is not your blanket in my arms, nor the laundry in my hair, where the light held your hair meets me to receive it, the light. What do I mean? Concentration. Where's my son? I beg her, lover is restless against the wall. This distance in life, my son, the quiet. Be your mother, be the walls and floors for yourself across this vast and dangerous earth. Thank you. And then the last poem I'll read, I like this one. It's called Energy Death. It's about witchcraft. Energy death. What I want now is to live without anger. It wasn't ever clear where this anger belonged. I don't always belong. Black swimming river waters the prolonged field. And the windshield, I'm not even from here, omitted by the sorcery, living on the road. It happened like a story, like my body. There's a 4-hour drive from here, You want me to write back in roads and traffic. I want to save this. All of this must be honest. We arrived here in a body described by men's power. Black and white photographs of emerging burrowing tarantulas. A black flower crosses the floor. I call them here with my words. Your uniform is a turn on, I say while looking at you, American. You'll say, when you love me, I don't feel gone. Wildflowers, times that I edited them, the jaguar's pattern, made of antler, made of onion, move your desk, new window, you ridiculous echoed what happened to your face. The word for mirror is industrialized materials, cross-dress to uncover, to unfold your paradise lost, to unclothe oneself, for a cultural revolution, if not for whom, then in league with the cooperation goddess. Together, we have finally decided this. There is no heaven, there is no afterlife, but there's all this abused poetry. Culmination of frying vegetables, the flaming Arctic. Could we break the future? But if we could break dance, meaningless parts, autumn, snowing, then it's the pollen. Take my face, position me next to the sheet of Tyvek, Mendocino, Kush breath. Polymorphing high school shooting becomes unsolvable. All of our dreams never meant to be combined, and so violating the witchcraft of nature. Thank you.
Next year was the POG Collective signing rules. In fact, and I can let you know anything about Cynthia and and I think it's a rights because I'm definitely cheating. Please welcome Rocko. John.
Thanks, POG, for having me in more ways than one. These are some posts from a project I'm working on about plastic and Barbie and gender. This is plastic parataxis. Paratactic like melting under hot lamp, brain and other matter, foreign and not. Doll head, dog shit, cement, semen. The distillation of crude oil requires heat but not fire. As a girl I flash cheekbones. As a boy my lashes curl up. As a girl my skin stretches taut. As a boy I lick the milk, shake off my spoon tenderly. It's getting harder to know where my nipples are under my shirt. A blunt bob, haphazard bangs. Girls' studios, scrutinous, under neon. It's getting harder to know what healing looks like here. What with all the collisions, scalpels, syringes, suction. It's getting harder and it's like getting harder. And what have you known of deep tissue? Of scars superficial and not? Scissors, stitches have worked miracles, staples, incisions, super glue, lash glue, and silicone. And this is plastic provenance. The blessed plastophile shall receive our lips like honey wine, while all others shall be cast out, broken mirrors swept without reflection into darkness. Can one wrest plastic from, in the body like poison or sugar? When sweet and pressed against my pelvic bone, my lust hardens, a kind of compressed organ. At the cellular level too, my lust is carbon, and I've not had trouble attracting suitors. Everyone here likes smooth and hard. Everyone here likes malleable, already bent and still bending. I'd thumb a waist, as if it were that easy, as if the gentle indent, the red flush of skin where the finger presses means anything for survival.
After 42 years, pushing down and screen TV, Want to pray for you, Uncle Pogs are blessed to die. Alright, okay. Bathrooms are right over this way.
Hello, my name is Ev. Thank you for allowing me to read. It's my first time at a POG event, so I'm very intrigued and it's very, I love you. This first piece is called Warlock. The method of his ambrosia-stained mandibles, nectar, veneer, viscous, Vesuvius, vitreous spit, Yamaloka's dubious acquiescence, universal equivocation of quintessence, imperial quota impulse slowly, eye re-encumbers, long crawl from an antithetical crevice like cicada, amnesia coinciding with proto-moss time spent speeding through Hephaestus heaps of the festering equinox, steaming doxastic taxonomy as a Sincilius aberration of exilum, verticillium, sinus and tots, tantalus, transmissions of tantra and tau, tantamount to tantalum technique trapeze, metatarsal trapezoid, toroidal 10 toes quiver on the quicksilver ditching duality, dripping on twilight, triptych still the speech, denticulates stunned, organized eyes, statures, incorrigible, cornea coordinating, critical exudation. This is an inveterate allegory, allegiance, adented monolith. A monotonous sundial positioned, the black space accentuation we proceed, fusing brackets containing the clauses cause, woven mourner's vowel, the vowing variegated vials of all veritas, aloe vera to the howling eon. Oh. Yep, Thank you.
Our next reader will be Kelsi Vanada.
I can see you. Thanks, POG. Thanks to Steve Salmoni who invited me tonight. I don't think he's here. I don't think I've seen him. Too bad. But long live POG. I have met some great writers through POG's reading series. Some writers I never thought I might meet in person, which is amazing. People like Pierre Jory and let's see, who else have I heard read? Bob Hass and Brenda Hillman, many others, but I do have a Brenda Hillman poem, so I thought I'd start with that. I'm going to read just a few short poems from Optional Saint, which is my first full-length book of poems. Thank you. It came out earlier this year with Bench Editions, which is a new press, so you should check them out. And I'll be reading with a couple of friends, as John said, at Wave Archive on Friday. Would love to see you there. Okay, so this poem starts with something that Brenda said in a Zoom reading. If you're like me, you attended a lot of those Zoom readings in the early part of the pandemic. Kind of kept me going. So let's see if I can find the right page. It's called Leaderboard. And all these poems are very short. I admire the stamina it takes to write a long poem, Cameron. I can't do it. Leaderboard. Brenda told me finding your voice is bullshit. She said God didn't put you on earth to be consistent, though I don't know who God is to her. His hands were soft as mushrooms, said my great aunt. He couldn't change a tire. Made his living that way. Gambling, love toy, projects, religious refusal to engage critically. Feature, I meant desire. So sweet and sad, it made me sad. The you in the poem changes when you make it. And this one features another Zoom reading. It's called Manual Acts. Workshop looks like worship, a mistake I've made before. In fact, the evaluative impulse is so strong that my project is a continuation of last year. Is that your church sweater? Asked a writer of my ivory cardigan at the bar. A page will not sit down, said Susan Howe to her webcam in her office. I need to make eye contact with both people, and one of them is me. What I want to be is handy. It's so nice. Who's stopping you? Since I met him, I've pictured myself often in a handstand. Feet tossed, belly tight, all eyes on me. Some use "it ruined me" to say a book was good. English, like a caterpillar, just lies down. But the free gift is not like the trespass. The writer who emerged from the house at the house party with a book in her hand she'd wanted to read and left with. Not bad if you can get it, he likes to say. Transcription pedal. Everyone on the internet is pounding flowers to a pulp on paper. I have no words but those light-hearted mornings of the desert. I can play with sign. What's drawn is never drawn out enough for me. A successful language is not like a helpless one. Who said that, and what? I try to content myself, but cannot finish the phrase. I remembered cats, but it was owls. Thank you, and have a great day. Well, why? Thank you for laughing. Last one. It's called Increase in Us, True Religion. Buck the rules, I said, but he didn't understand. In the hymnal, God's called silent as light. You read that right. Distracted us from what was great about it. Here's small secrecy. It's not for me to look at. At one point, I had the power to change it myself, but the last time I tried it, it wouldn't save. Which way is forward, and what do you mean by move it that way? If the church makes any progress on its three-legged stool, I believed in the impatient runaway phrase. Thank you. Thank you very much, POG, and thank you to Bala Valenzuela for inviting me to read. This one's called Fangirl Incantations. We watch you and 4 other pups with consumptive eyes as you fumble across stage with these found brothers, nipping not hard enough to break skin, but perhaps lightly bruised. We marvel at you, the gangly runt at risk of tripping over paws the size of saucers. You roam stadiums thick with screams. We exchange energy for the night, throats burning. Once you leave with a final bow, we remain transfixed at the slice of life you presented for our devouring. We took red feathers in our hair and paint your scripture onto our skin. The vessel docks us at an island aglow with bioluminescence and thousands of us. We resemble a teeming mouth. At its center, you who speaks for us. We sing not only for you, but for each other, shimmering in the wake of our devotion. None of your feats can endure without us. We are the forest in which you lose yourself. Laughter quakes the trees, each note birthing a secluded joke. Our closeness flows through you, but collects in us. I definitely wrote that after going to a Harry Styles concert with my sister. Okay, the next one is called Seized Snippets. I can sense the cloth upon which intimacy rests. I tug it gently at first, then snatch. When I think of men groping my teenage mother on a bus, I feel a glimmer of fatherhood. He has no idea I can pretend for years that I could meet his parents, move to his hometown, bear his children as I avalanche into him, his breastbone at base of the mountain. I swathe myself in fabric and still I am undressed, overstated. My internal code remixed in a rush, thrill of extrapolation as violence twists into justice. I have nothing to manifest but submission. This art a safe harbor for the raw, unfiltered energy of each nerve. There are scenes in my daydreams which do not exist in yours. In a whirlwind of safety, I crawl into the eye of the storm and seat myself at the helm. The anger does not yet feel heavy. It permits me flight. Thank you.
Our next speaker is a current POG member, Johanna Skibsrud. Wow.
Hi, Melillo. Thank you. I love this event so much. Thank you, all of you. It's just, yeah, everybody, you're just such good writers and a really good audience, too. I'm going to read some prose tonight as well. And it's something that kind of grew out of my last poetry project, Medium, which some of you are familiar with. And so this is in the voice of the mother of Joan of Arc. And I've been working on this project for a long time, almost, I don't know how long, almost 10 years I feel like, but I haven't shared it with anybody except poor John. So thank you for listening. The way was hard going, I remember, and I could move only with great difficulty through a field full of high and drifted snow. As I moved, the snow piled higher and higher before me. The more I pressed forward, the more difficult any forward advancement became. But I could not go back. I was moved by some great urgency. It was not important yet toward what. Only later did I realize it was you. It was you, Jean, I dragged behind me, unwilling through the snow. You appeared, not as I last saw you, but in the way that I remember, your body straight, sturdy but still soft, still willing to be touched. We were going to visit my mother who you'd never met, who died 6 years before you, Jean, were even born. I found her wrapped in thick blankets in the snow. I could not get near enough to see her face. We're here, I said. Who? The voice came. I remembered that my mother was blind, though in life she had not been. It's me, I said, your daughter. And this, I said, pulling you firmly by the hand, is my little girl. Ah, my mother said, bring her closer. Let me see. I pushed you ahead through the snow, but then something made me pause. I began to feel afraid. She's close enough, I said. Let me see. I thrust you forward slightly, holding tightly to your shoulders. See, I said, it's her, Jeanne. It's my little girl. A hand, old and gnarled as a tree root, extended itself. It felt for your face. It stroked your long hair, your forehead, your soft cheek. But as it touched you, as it began to stroke your face, I noticed that the face it touched had changed, and that the girl I brought to show my mother wasn't you, Jeanne. It wasn't mine. A sick wave of horror passed over me. Where were you then? Where had my little girl gone? I looked back over the field of snow I had just traveled. There were no footprints, not one. Across all that snow, I had not left a single mark. I've lost Jeanne, I thought. I've gone and lost my little girl. I didn't know where to look. I've come so far. My mother's hand still caressed the other girl's face. Well, I thought, after all, what does it matter? My mother is blind. She will not know the difference. Yes, I told my mother, this is her. It is Jeanne. She is here. Be comforted. Then I turned. I felt I could not turn quickly enough. I left them both, together in the drifted snow, and walked back in the direction I had come. The going was even more difficult then, and I woke in a sweat. It was still dark, but the sun had come up and the bells were ringing. They'd woken me, more than likely. My headache of the night before remained, a throbbing pain at the base of my skull extending along 2 discrete tracts to my neck and lower jaw. I'd hoped that sleep would cure it, but it hadn't. From its knotted, invisible core at the base of my skull, a dull pain pulsed steadily in 2 directions. So much for dreams. Thanks a lot.
Our next reader on the list is Richard.
I've been trying to stop a nosebleed. Lifelong habit. Bad timing though. I shouldn't have worn a white shirt. And I got on this. I have this here just in case. All right. Thank you, Johanna. I couldn't quite hear you as well as I would have if I'd been sitting out here. And Charles, he didn't mention that you had your press here for quite a while. And yeah, you did.
That's what I was talking about the POG, which became POG, I was with here for it's myself.
Yeah, we can't forget all the woodworkers.
Yeah.
And Faultless Friends Press. What's that?
I think
Corey? It was over there too. He was in there too. So here we go. Glasses. Okay. Okay, number here. There it is. Good to be here. What a turnout. Gosh, I haven't seen this late. Gate opening sound. But it wasn't you, my dear. Yet the wind that was warm. Desert summer dusk, and slugs glide from the palms ahead on the silvery swines. To thick growth they'll return, and my wife and I will sleep. I am still awake. Her warmth curves on my backside. My mind's eye opens the door my boy put home and wanders the yard. Damn it. How small do I make it? I'll make it. It must, you're right. Okay. Look at that shirt. Soloist. Our mind's reason, like a lone tree, fertile field, must anchor itself with deep roots. For in the winds of emotion, the wound itself might be taken by sight of swaying waves of grass, the uplifting of heads to sky, the bowing down to earth, can be tempted to join the heartfelt chorus below. It may wish to lose its lonely perspective, its lengthy solo, and lie down among the many, absorbed and absolved. Well, a few days ago was my 78th birthday, so 21 years ago I rented this bomb, so that's why I'm throwing this year. Yeah. You find here an echo of another poet, yes. It was my 57th year on earth. Stood there then in the autumn afternoon amid the green of my garden. My wife was witness, and I in her eyes, lover and maker, worker in the world. Blue of the day, black of the night, white of my straw hat, girt and shod by leather of the animal, my body and heart hers. Nature points to my heart with its wooden finger. This started me in all its seasons, and will someday beckon me follow in its air, soil and water. For a moment, I will be one and all. I will not witness my dispersal, my wind and water, buck, bird, fishlet, though myself will climb this stem again. Hens, roosts. How many people have chickens? Hey, all right. You two are married. That only counts as one. All right. Oh, ain't somebody else back there? Oh, hey, all right, okay. When it dusk, the hens take to their roosts, squabbling about who sits where. There's a quiet that follows, that welcomes the first cricket. In honor of our very dry monsoon summer, I'm going to read this poem I wrote 4 or 5 years ago. During the first rains, after many months of night, the stones by the path where we walk each day, my love, I'm dressed in all your colors. I'd like to thank you very much. Great audience.
I'm next to you. The guitarist at the back, Gabriel Palacios. Don't. What are you looking for? Thank you. Happy 30th, POG. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me read. I'm going to dedicate my 3 minutes to Lisa for coming. This poem is something different, though, and it's pretty unbaked. And I don't know what I have here yet. So there might be nothing better than getting one of those train horns to come blasting through to give it some classic noir emotion. It is called Zero Escape. Dear simulation, sucker dreamers, living's very real. Human biologic life before the laptop was I could get my smirk pushed back real. And the life before my laptop, the one in front of it that reflected gray emoji more a question. Private Rorschach of the public fear. A subscription box of ills to fold your body on. Cadaver dust accordions of debt. Anti-charismatic airs encode unsayable in public creeds unto even unbelievers of a faith and works brand. Optimized efficiency to zero. There's another one. It's called Linear Arithmetic. And it's named after my synthesizer. It's called Linear Arithmetic Technology. It has a sample, like a recording from real life, and it also has an artificial synthesized tone happening at the same time that makes something that's kind of more than real. It's called Linear Arithmetic. Brother, am I not aggrieved as your own one-room schoolhouse cruelties of yore? You wear the creative weapons staged for true adventures, true confessions, true subscribers. What was my illiteracy worth? I mean, we're all rolled off the culture now, emoting from the same 64 factory presets. A koto sound for fun, the pipe organ for church, tune for fainter microshades of lonesome. My phone is sweating all this silicone at any given time. And you could trust me in a country that can only be explained by computers who hallucinate to kick it for want of you. Each piece of shit machine, a one-man Scientology pilloried nude. If I may speak in my capacity as a waste services customer, however delinquent, I feel as though the waiter in a dinner theater lip-synced an R. Kelly song to trap me in an actual historical street lamp on loan to the private museum and an Iron Cross tattooed defense contractor's grand lobby. This town will crack open a travel-sized bottle, screw it into his own eyes because the bond to get out of the county's underneath the potter's field. I don't have time to trust it. We just need to get out. Your grace, your faith, credulity belong anyway with me. Is the great art of the world not what you've seen that you remember? Yeah. Our next reader is one of the original POG Collective readers, Cynthia Miller.
You're so nice. You are the nice for staying. I want to share with you something I came across this week. Some of you know the poet Eileen Miles. You know, she ran for president at one time. Didn't get very far, but she did. And with apologies to Zoe Leonard, who wrote this piece, I want to share it with you because it just fits now. You're smiling. You might know this piece. Here we go. I want a dyke for president. I want a person with AIDS for president. And I want a fag for vice president. And I want someone with no health insurance. And I want someone who grew up in a place where the earth is so saturated with toxic waste that they didn't have a choice about getting leukemia. I want a president that had an abortion at 16. And I want a candidate who isn't the lesser of two evils. And I want a president who lost their last lover to AIDS, who still sees that in their eyes every time they lay down to rest, who held their lover in their arms and they were dying. I want a president with no air conditioning, a president who has stood online at the clinic, at the DMV, at the welfare office, and has been unemployed and laid off and sexually harassed and gay bashed and deported. I want someone who has spent the night in tombs and had a cross burned on their lawn and survived rape. I want someone who's been in love and been hurt, who respects sex and has made mistakes and learned from them. I want a black woman for president. I want someone with bad teeth, someone who has eaten hospital food, someone who cross-dresses, has done drugs, and been in therapy. I want someone who has committed civil disobedience. And I want to know why this isn't possible. I want to know why we started learning somewhere down the line that a president is always a clown, always a John, never a hooker, always a boss, never a worker, always a liar, always a thief, and never caught. And what else can we say? So mostly I'm a painter. I teach painting over at the drawing studio, and so this is my recipe that I give to painters, and I'm going to read it like you're all painters, and I'm going to read it to you as writers, because this is all good news and you should go. Okay, dear painters, if you hear it, paint it. See it, paint it. Feel it, paint it. Confused, paint it. Love it, paint it. Remember it, paint it. It's not what you paint, it's how you paint it. The more you paint, the better you paint. You are the only one who can make your paintings. Show me what you got. Paint it till you like it. When in doubt, paint it out. You are the boss of your painting. You are not the boss of your painting. This is not your ticket to heaven. It's only paint. Okay, so if you're a painter, that was your ticket. Our writers, it was in a couple of years, so. Dear writers, if you hear it, write it. See it, write it. Feel it, write it. Confused, write it. In love, write it. Remember it, write it. It's not what you write, it's how you write it. The more you write, the better you write. You are the only one who can make your writing. Show me what you love. Write it till you like it. When in doubt, write it out. You are the boss of your writing. You are not the boss of your writing. This is not your ticket to heaven. It's only words. I write mostly really short poems, so I just go read you two of them. The poet said to her, "You are more to me than paper, so fade in the sun if you want." Where's it going? I am a stencil of myself. I am a stencil of me. Wherever the outline broke, I made a break for it. You look too. I know an idea of myself. I never does. I also do Zen meditation. I've been trying to be a good meditator. Just like you can't try to be a good meditator, that's not meditating. You can't try anything, and it's an impossible task. So I wrote this poem, and it's in 9 rounds like a fight, because that's how I feel frequently when I'm meditating. Meditation doesn't start with a train whistle, but I usually starts and ends with a bell, and that signals. Well, lasts about 30 minutes. This poem is not that long. The Buddha bell rings. Start of my fight in the ring. The Enzo of Zen meditation. Round 1. Laughter. Settle down, children. Long breath again, and shoulders drop. Eyes itch behind their glasses. I ignore it, ignore it. Perceive how sitting sits and sits. Round 2. Sit. Just sit. Sit now. Round 3. The pillows in the dryer, the sand on a beach, a phone rings, a song sings, a cat snores, flowers wilt, a warm day. Teeth in my head, I meditate better than me. Round 4. Quiet the tick and the talk. Quiet the yes and the no. Quiet the here and the now. Round 5. The big chair of religions is empty. No one, nothing sits there above the auditorium of the world. Round 6. A writer's mind, a painter's mind is never empty. Stories and vistas, feelings and friends, color matching color. How do I chase this all away? Round 7. You should have bells in between. Ding. Losing track of my face, losing track of my feet, forgetting the day, the where and the how. Body vibrates awake, asleep, awake to its own repose. Round 8. Together, we lie down in an open field, a white sky with blue clouds. Almost home. Round 9. Useless tongue of thought invites the bell.
We have 3 more readers, and the next reader is going to be third mom Amber, Alabama 12.
It might have been the wrong way to get here. It's good.
have 2 poems for y'all and they're both poems about my grandma.
Oh.
Kind of. The Jacinto girls are just like their grandmother, Doña Tere. In her youth, long brown locks fell from her head and onto the floor, still not paved. The Jacinto girls have stout, meaty legs. The men of the house are short, so they grew up feeling tall and always used to getting their way. The young men of Agua Prieta often think the Jacinto girls spoiled. When they visit Doña Tere, they will attempt to change the ways of the girls, but the ghosts of the house have already crowned them, and the people of Agua Prieta enamored with the young women's manners. In fact, it is often said a Jacinto girl can turn a horrible man great and a great man exceptional. No man wants to fall for a Jacinto girl, but they are desperate for the kind of respect that only a Jacinto girl can get. Tata Chicago died before the birth of any of the girls, but it is said that the Jacinto girls are too just like their grandfather. He who could fight 5 men at once and is known by every bartender in Agua Prieta. The men of Agua Prieta often aspire to his greatness, but the Jacinto girls try to contain their temper, lest they give into violence. The Jacinto girls have committed acts of violence against the men of Agua Prieta. Their mothers taught them to count to 10, but Doña Tere didn't, and in fact discouraged any tolerance of disrespect or unpleasantness. At the birth of each of the girls, she molded suits of armor and long, fine swords. The people of Agua Prieta know to recognize the Jacinto girls by the silver of their bodies. Men teach their sons to be wary of such bold display of color. But inevitably, the reflection of the sun will catch their eyes. They will trip over the length of their locks, and whether they want to or not, will become exceptional. Nana ya pagó por los gastos de su funeral, porque el árbol que plantó hace 50 años ya se engusanó, y el Señor de las plantas dice que no hay remedio. Los fantasmas de la casa preguntan por ella, que si no está cansada, y yo les digo que no, pero su mirada está más para allá que para acá. Nana ya pagó por los gastos de su funeral. Plantando luto, escucho la semilla llorar. Thank you.
Our next reader will be another POG board member who will come out from behind the camera, Zoe Clytus.
Hi, it's fun being listening and not looking through the camera. This first one is, store policy says nothing about mannequins. Like in training, they say, please do not sexually harass each other on the clock. And most of the time that doesn't happen unless you're on truck or the ladder and HR doesn't care. Anyway, guests don't get the training. So when the guest pulls the bra off a mannequin, just enough to see his face shine and from plastic, a motorboat reflection, we night shift girls can only giggle and look at each other, not knowing what to do. We had to kick a guest out once for gripping his dick through his pockets, looking at us fold the graphic tees. But she can't watch like us. We see her and she looks at us. We feel like she is afraid like us as the guest touches her hard boob. So we discuss How should we confront someone touching an inanimate object the way we have all been touched? How do we say, please stop touching her, when she won't hold this memory the way we all will? Sure, it's different now, when we all group up, stare at him without words, without any pleas, and he knows he did something wrong, because he runs to the door, no words. But when I walk to my car after the close, I wonder where he went to hide and keep touching himself. The next one I'm going to read is super fresh, so fresh that I started writing it this morning. But I was really thinking about the little fella that's in this poem. So this is Future Eulogy for Jean. The days I don't see Jean, I worry that death or the Suntran got them. Jean and his metal heart of life and the dry heat, and Jean in the Burger King lobby who does not remember who he is, still here. All I really know about Jean is his name, and that he has a son that sometimes make guest star appearances, walking together down the speedway, disappearing into that frequent space all pedestrians slip into after dark. Jean is convinced that everyone is laughing at him. I've tried to tell him otherwise, that he is stubborn, with the one thing he is certain of, the one thing he knows. The world loves Jean, and I know it because he's still here in his raincoat, in the middle of the monsoon while I drive past him scared behind the wheel. I don't know if Jean gets scared, but he does get angry when they're laughing at him. Nobody laughing at him in the middle of the Target entryway, laughing at him. Jean on the south side, then the east side. All I've ever seen him do is walk, leaning on that cart, content with the day's chores, his mouth set in a straight line, focused on the flow of Tucson sidewalks, that stride and instinct. On some other thread, some other time, you can still see me behind the counter, Jean separating his change into dirty Ziploc bags, muttering they're laughing at me, all of them laughing at me as I close out the register. Thank you.
Last reader tonight is Taylor Johnson. One like this, I have. Okay, you are right. If you got questions, like care about us, I'm gonna put them.
Hello. Do you want to hear Proto-Celtic? Okay. Sorry, I really wasn't planning to do this, so give me a sec. This is like a nightmare right now, looking for something in my folder. It's like I'm so blank. I don't. I know, Richard. Richard is always the goat. Okay. Maybe if I just search it by the name. I'm also one of those people that has like four Gmails. So there's like 6 different versions of everything. It's weird. All right. I know I'm gonna find it.
I found it. Okay. So, the little backstory on the Proto-Celtic. There's a woman named Carolyn Hillier, and she lives in Dartmoor, England. And one of my friends gave me this little lexicon that is Proto-Celtic, which is like an ancient bone language. And I got really obsessed with it, and I've been like learning all these little chants in Proto-Celtic and inventing them, and it's really fun. And this one is called Caro, and I'll read you the Proto-Celtic and then I'll read the translation in English. Caro, fare ufo cano, uro que quero, mewe kentu kenter. Nater ya seja, nater ya fugo, esti hemos adaso. Ebriello vuestrom quertra, periello nis comscara. Tot, mi wetio, quer viejo bagno raga, sindo disamalo amstera. Nem, men, crinio, 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 ati, io. Mewe colonna credra, di mori morve, ad solo domi. And then the English translation is, Dear one, the song of before and beyond, green and brown, my first thorn. Us two thus finish, us two thus complete. That is appropriate. Show faith in your sacred trail. Now we separate. Yes, indeed. I weave words and let the gleaming come, this unique moment. Bow, detach, shake, 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 awaken into the new. My heart relic of the Selkie coming home to me.
Wow. Thank you. You guys are wonderful. I mean, POG has always been like a little community colloquial. So I hope you keep on coming to our events, support the local presses, some of which are run by people who are here tonight. Support Wave Archive, support all that we do, support poetry, support yourselves. We need to support each other these days. Thank you.
You got it?
Yeah.